That sausage in your hand outside Bunnings Warehouse right now, it might be doing far more damage to your body than you realise. Every weekend, millions of Aussies grab a sausage sizzle after shopping, trusting it's a simple beef snag, cheap, harmless, and part of Aussie culture. It's become a national ritual. Families finishing their hardware run, kids getting excited for that smell of grilled meat, volunteers raising money for local schools and sports clubs. It feels wholesome. It feels Australian. But behind those charity tents and smiling volunteers, there's a reality the processed meat industry desperately doesn't want you to see. We're talking chemical preservatives linked to asthma attacks in children, phosphate additives that stress your kidneys and cardiovascular system, hidden sugars pumping up blood glucose, industrial fillers replacing actual meat, and sodium levels that blow past daily limits in a single sausage. We're talking about meat content so low that nearly a third of what you're eating is wheat flour, rice starch, and vegetable protein. We're talking about preservatives banned in other countries, still legally used here in Australia. We've analysed ingredient lists from every major brand, reviewed food standards, Australia, New Zealand data, examined independent health research, and consulted with nutritionists and food scientists about what these chemicals actually do inside your body. Today we're exposing 7 sausage brands commonly used at Bunnings sausage sizzles, sourced from Coles, Woolworths and Aldi. This is the sausage truth they're hoping you never question. Brand number 1, Coles Thick BBQ Beef Sausages. Number 1, Coles Thick BBQ Beef Sausages. These are a staple for fundraisers, cheap, familiar and marketed as classic Aussie BBQ food made for families. The packaging shows flames, grills and the promise of a proper beef sausage. They're what most community groups bulk buy because the price point works for volume sales. But flip the packet and check the ingredients list. Ingredients include beef, approximately 70%, water, wheat flour, rice flour, vegetable protein, mineral salts, E450 and E451, sodium metabisulfite E223, flavours and spices. Translation: nearly a third of the sausage isn't meat. It's bulk fillers and chemical salts designed to trap water, fake juiciness, and extend shelf life. Let's break down what that actually means. E450 and E451 are diphosphates and triphosphates. Translation: phosphate salts that bind water molecules to meat proteins, creating artificial moisture and weight. You're paying for water held in place by chemicals. Sodium metabisulfite E223 is a preservative and colour stabiliser. Translation: it keeps the meat looking pink and fresh long after it should have turned grey. Here's where it gets genuinely disturbing for families. Sodium metabisulfite is a known asthma trigger, particularly in children and people with respiratory sensitivities. Australian medical research has documented cases of severe asthma attacks triggered by sulfite preservatives in processed meats. Phosphate salts are linked to kidney strain and cardiovascular stress. Studies show that high phosphate intake accelerates arterial calcification and increases heart disease risk. One sausage delivers roughly 750 milligrams of sodium, over 30% of a child's recommended daily limit. Your kids are hitting a third of their daily sodium quota before they've even finished their Saturday morning snack. Then there's the wheat flour and rice flour acting as binders. Why does a beef sausage need grain fillers? Because they're cheaper than meat and they absorb the water that the phosphates are trapping. You're eating bread paste with beef flavouring. Coles markets these as beef BBQ sausages, which suggests simplicity and quality. But nothing about wheat flour, rice flour and vegetable protein belongs in a meat sausage. The word beef leads the name, but it's barely 2/3 of the content. At roughly $11 for a 24 pack, you're paying for fillers, not quality meat. That works out to under 50 cents per sausage, which tells you everything about what's actually in them. This isn't a beef sausage. It's a processed salt delivery system with meat added second. Brand number 2, Woolworths Market Value. Thin beef sausages. Number 2, Woolworths Market Value thin beef sausages. The cheapest snag on the shelf and an absolute favourite for large fundraising events where volume matters more than quality. These are what get bulk ordered when organisations need to feed hundreds of people on the tightest possible budget. But here's what Woolworths doesn't advertise. Beef water starches, mineral salts E450 and E451, sodium metabisulfite E223, flavours. Translation: Maximum water retention, minimal meat cost, and chemical preservatives to keep it quote unquote fresh longer than nature intended. The meat content in these sausages can drop as low as 65%. That means 35% of what you're eating is not beef. It's water, starch, and chemicals. The phosphate salts are doing exactly what they did in the Coles version, binding water to create false weight and moisture. You're paying for engineered hydration. These sausages contain up to 840 milligrams of sodium per 100 grams. Translation: a single standard sausage at 75 grams delivers around 630 milligrams of sodium. That's over a quarter of the maximum daily recommended intake for adults in one snag. For children, it's nearly 40%. Regular consumption increases risk of hypertension and heart disease. Australian health data shows that processed meats are a leading contributor to excessive sodium intake, particularly in children who don't regulate their consumption. The sodium metabisulfite preservative appears again. Same asthma risk, same respiratory concerns, same chemical doing the same job it did in the premium Coles version, except now you're getting it in the budget range. Woolworths uses the term market value, which sounds honest and straightforward. It really means industrial efficiency over nutrition. It means we've engineered this to be as cheap as possible while still technically qualifying as a sausage, often under $7 a pack. Cheap because quality has been stripped out. The price reflects exactly what's inside, which is the minimum required to call it beef. This is what ultra-processed meat looks like when profit comes first. Brand number 3, Aldi BBQ sausages. Number 3, Aldi BBQ sausages. Frequently praised in taste tests, often winning blind comparisons, and widely used at sausage sizzles because they deliver flavour at an unbeatable price point. People genuinely enjoy these. That's the problem, but look at the ingredient list. Mixed meats, including beef, lamb and chicken, water, starches, mineral salts, sodium metabisulfite, spices. Translation: blended meats hide lower quality cuts, while additives hold everything together into something that resembles a traditional sausage. Here's what you need to understand about mixed meat sausages. When manufacturers blend beef, lamb and chicken, they're not giving you premium cuts of each. They're using the cheapest available trimmings from each animal and homogenizing them into a uniform product. The meat quality is obscured by the blend. You can't taste that the beef is mechanically recovered meat or that the chicken is processed off cuts. The starches are doing serious work here, binding together meats with different fat contents and textures. Without those starches, these sausages would fall apart on the grill because the meat quality is too inconsistent. High saturated fat combined with preservatives increases inflammation and cardiovascular risk. The World Health Organization classifies processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens, the same category as tobacco. Regular consumption is directly linked to colorectal cancer. When you combine that with the high saturated fat and sodium, you're looking at a product that stresses multiple body systems simultaneously, but Aldi sausages win taste tests. Why? Because they're engineered to taste good through salt and fat ratios. Winning taste tests distracts from what actually makes them taste good, which isn't quality meat. It's addictive flavor engineering through sodium, fat, and chemical flavor enhancers. Among the cheapest sausages on the market, often under $6. The affordability is the marketing. The taste is the hook. The health consequences are what they're not mentioning. Tasty doesn't mean safe. It means engineered. Brand number 4, Woolworths beef sausages, standard range. Number 4, Woolworths standard beef sausages, marketed as everyday family food. Not budget, not premium, just standard. The ones that sit in the middle of the refrigerated section, promising nothing special but implying basic reliability. But let's talk about what they actually do. Beef, water, rice flour, dextrose, mineral salts, sodium metabisulfite. Translation: dextrose is added sugar. Sugar in a savory meat product exists purely to manipulate flavor and create mild addiction through blood glucose spikes. Why does a beef sausage need dextrose? Because it makes the product taste slightly sweet, which increases palatability and makes you want to eat more. It's the same reason fast food burgers have sugar in the buns. It's engineered craving. Added sugars spike blood glucose, which triggers insulin response, which creates energy crash, which creates hunger for more quick energy. This is especially problematic for kids whose blood sugar regulation is still developing and for diabetics or pre-diabetics who can't afford glycemic spikes from what they think is a savory protein source. One sausage contains approximately 2 grams of sugar. That might not sound like much, but you're eating what you think is meat. You're not expecting sugar. You're not accounting for it. Your body is processing an unexpected glucose load on top of the sodium and the saturated fat. No front label warning about sugar in a savory product. The dextrose is buried in the ingredient list where most people don't read. The packaging shows flames and grills and the word beef, implying this is a straightforward protein source. Mid-range pricing, usually around $8 to $9 with budget-grade formulation. You're paying mid-tier prices for low-tier ingredients. You're paying mid-tier prices for low-tier ingredients with bonus sugar. Brand number 5, chicken sausages, generic supermarket brands. Number 5, chicken sausages sold under various supermarket house brands, often chosen because people think chicken means healthier. Lower fat, leaner protein, better choice for the family, that's the assumption. But here's what doesn't get mentioned. Chicken meat, water, starches, vegetable protein, preservatives. Translation: lean meat offset by heavy processing that eliminates any natural health advantage chicken might have had over beef. Yes, chicken is naturally leaner than beef. But once you've processed it with starches, vegetable protein, water binding agents, and preservatives, you've destroyed that advantage. The protein to additive ratio is worse than many beef sausages because chicken needs more structural support to hold together as a sausage. Still high sodium, still ultra processed, still associated with metabolic stress. A typical chicken sausage contains 600 to 700 milligrams of sodium. The same cardiovascular concerns, the same hypertension risks, the same WHO classification as a processed meat carcinogen. The vegetable protein, often soy or pea protein, is used to bulk up the meat content without adding actual chicken. You're eating plant protein pretending to be animal protein in a product marketed as chicken. The marketing centers on lean, which distracts from chemical processing. Lean sounds healthy. Lean sounds like you're making a good choice. But lean processed meat is still processed meat. The cancer risk doesn't disappear because you chose chicken over beef. Priced similar to beef sausages with no meaningful health advantage, often $8 to $10 per pack. You're paying the same money for the same risk profile with a health halo. Health halo, same industrial core. Brand number 6, kangaroo sausages. Number 6, kangaroo sausages sometimes used for novelty factor or because people perceive them as the healthy Australian native meat option. Higher protein, lower fat, sustainable, uniquely Australian. It sounds like the ethical choice, but flip the packet. Kangaroo meat, water, rice flour, mineral salts, preservatives. Translation: even the leanest, most nutritionally impressive meat gets diluted and stabilized with the same industrial additives. Kangaroo is genuinely one of the healthiest meats available. It's extremely lean, high in protein, rich in iron and zinc, and environmentally sustainable. But once it's been turned into a sausage, those advantages are compromised. The rice flour absorbs moisture, the mineral salts bind water, the preservatives extend shelf life. You're taking premium meat and subjecting it to budget processing. Lower fat doesn't eliminate processed meat risks from high temperature grilling and preservatives. When you grill any processed meat at high heat, you create heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, both known carcinogens. The meat source doesn't matter. The processing and cooking method create the risk. The preservatives, usually sodium metabisulfite again, are doing the same work they do in every other sausage, keeping it pink, extending shelf life, potentially triggering asthma. Native meat branding implies purity that processing removes. The packaging often features Australian landscapes, native animals, words like authentic and traditional, but there's nothing traditional about mechanically processed kangaroo meat bound with rice flour and stabilized with phosphates. More expensive, but still compromised. Usually $12 to $15 per pack. You're paying a premium for meat quality, then getting budget level processing. Better meat, same system. Brand number 7, butcher supplied bulk sausages. Number 7, butcher supplied sausages used by some fundraisers, the trusted option that people assume is superior because it's not from a supermarket. Local butcher. Fresh made, proper sausages, that's the belief. But not all butcher sausages are equal. Beef, salt, spices, sometimes preservatives depending on shelf life requirements. Translation: fewer ingredients only matter if processing is minimal and meat quality is high. Here's the truth about butcher sausages used for bulk fundraising. Some butchers make excellent sausages with high meat content, minimal fillers, and natural casings. Those aren't the ones being sold in bulk to community groups. The sausages used for high volume fundraisers are often the butcher's cheapest line, made specifically for price-conscious bulk orders. They might have slightly better meat content than supermarket versions, maybe 75 to 80% instead of 65 to 70%. They might use natural casings instead of collagen casings. But they're still processed meat when grilled at high heat. Still a processed meat when cooked on a fundraiser barbecue. Same cancer classification. Same nitrosamine formation from high heat cooking. Same cardiovascular concerns if consumed regularly. The marketing relies on traditional and local butcher, which doesn't mean harmless. It means marginally less industrial, but still fundamentally a processed meat product. Higher cost, marginally better quality, usually $13 to $16 per pack for bulk orders. You're paying more for a product that's incrementally better but still carries health risks. Best of a bad category. The sausage industry prioritizes shelf life, consistency, and profit, not health. Bulk sausages sold for fundraisers are engineered to be cheap, uniform, stable at varying temperatures, fast to cook, and profitable at low retail prices. That engineering requires water-binding agents, preservatives, fillers, and flavour enhancers. Your grandparents' sausages were meat, salt, and spices in natural casings. Today's contain wheat flour, rice flour, vegetable proteins, diphosphates, triphosphates, sodium metabisulfite, dextrose, and synthetic flavours. The ingredient lists have tripled in length while meat content has dropped by 30 to 40%. Regular consumption of processed meats is linked to bowel cancer, heart disease, hypertension, and metabolic dysfunction. The World Health Organization has been clear about this since 2015. Every 50 grams of processed meat per day increases colorectal cancer risk by 18%. And that's roughly one sausage. If you're buying sausages, look for short ingredient lists with meat listed at 85% or higher. Real meat percentages clearly stated on packaging, minimal additives, no phosphate binders, no sulfite preservatives, and natural casings. Better yet, buy whole cuts of meat and skip the processing entirely. Your health is worth more than a $2 tradition. The Bunnings sausage sizzle is a cultural institution, but that doesn't make it safe. Awareness is protection. Which sausage shocked you the most? Have you ever thought about what's really in a Bunnings sausage sizzle? Drop a comment below. Subscribe for more investigations exposing what Australian supermarkets and food manufacturers don't want you to question.